Hiya, and welcome to this week's episode of Inside Property Development, which is a little bit of a part two. Previously, I spoke about the insider framework, something I put together based on reverse engineering every land planning and development deal I've done and seen done by other people over the last 40 years. If that's something you're interested in, know exactly what needs to be done at the right stage in order to find sites and maximise land values, win planning permission, and get deals done. If you haven't already seen sort of part one of this, I'd suggest you go and watch or listen to that quickly. It's a sort of like high-level headline explainer before we start getting into a little bit more detail. So go and watch part one or listen to part one if you haven't done already. Now, if you're on YouTube, you will be seeing the matrix, let's call it, the insider framework that's got all of the headlines and the high-level steps and the problems that we're solving, and then down below that, in each of one of the 7 sections, there's between 5 and 7 sub steps or things that you need to know and do in order to get deals done. So basically, it's the A to Z really of land planning and property development. Yeah. Now, and obviously, if you're listening, not watching, I'll explain it. So you're just going to have to imagine it. The key high-level steps are all about finding the best sites, assessing the potential, negotiating and structuring the right deal, creating the optimal design, gaining the best planning permission, finding the right teams, managing them, and then knowing and choosing your preferred exit route. So they're the high-level steps. And then down below that, as I said, there's between 5 and 7 sort of little sub-steps and things that you need to do. This is effectively the main content of my 5 days worth of training. Now, clearly, I'm not going to be able to cover 5 days here, so I'm just going to give you a high-level explainer of what this stuff's all about. And do you know what? I'm probably even going to split this in half, maybe even into 2 or 3. So we'll do a few different episodes of this because it is a lot of information. We're going to start with step 1. This whole thing is called, overall, it's the insider system or the insider framework. The I of insider stands for identify, because it's all about finding the best sites. Yeah, which is really the key thing. Doesn't matter how long you've been doing this stuff. You could be you'll know this more than anyone. If you're a fantastic developer, you've been in the industry for years, you will absolutely 100% know that the name of the game really is about finding proper 100% off-market opportunities, so you don't get involved in stupid competition where the price of things that you're securing or buying gets bid up and becomes very, very expensive before you've even started. That is a recipe for disaster. All of the best developers come to realise that they really do want and need to be focusing on 100% off-market opportunities. First part of the framework is about how to do that. So it's I for identify. It's about finding the best sites. Remember, what this is me breaking down every step into a logical system and progression, so it's easy for people to understand and remember, and also actually easy for me to teach and for them to actually really get what it is that I'm on about. So this first section, identify, it's got 6 sub-steps, and it comes from my Site Finder training, which is all about finding 100% off-market development sites. And that is actually for both developers, so people looking to find sites and opportunities for themselves, and also for land agents and introducers, so people that just also want to go around and find sites and 100% proper off-market opportunities, but they want to do that with a view to introducing those opportunities to other people. So rather than going and negotiating with the landowners, securing and tying up those deals for themselves, which is a much more difficult thing to do. You need a lot more knowledge and experience in order to properly do that. There are a whole load of people out there that just want to get really good and are really good at the first bit, i.e. finding off-market sites, and then they will just introduce them to someone else, someone like me or another experienced developer, who will typically pay them 2% of the land value. So you find a site, you introduce it to someone, that someone comes along and does the deal, typically pay you 2% of the land value. So they end up buying the site for £2 million. you get a 40 grand fee. That is the way the industry works. That's not an unusual thing unless you're finding sites for yourself, which is really what I do and what I teach other people how to do. The vast majority of deals probably have got an introducer or a land agent in there somewhere, getting a fee for either finding the deal or facilitating the deal in some way. The sub-acronym of the site finding process spells FINDER, and it's all about focusing and fact finding to start with, then identifying sites, then net research. I'm going to go into detail, explain what I'm about with all of this, then discussing the potential, then establishing relationships, and then realising the introduction. This comes from our site finder training, which is for both developers and land agents and introducers. Some of this stuff isn't really relevant to you if you are a developer looking to find sites for yourself, because you're not then going to be really looking to introduce them to other people. All of the training that I do, the site finder training really is the sort of key starting point, because everything does start with land. So much of it's about planning, and the focus and fact finding start of the process is really about understanding planning and understanding the planning system, because that is the context within which everything else works. So focus and fact finding is about understanding planning inside out as far as possible, because that's where everything starts. The more you know about that, the better you are about that, the more opportunities you will find, the more angles you will think of and spot. Now, other than training with someone that's, really knows what they're on about, such as myself, the best other thing you could do, cost you nothing to go. I recommend you actually go in and see them in the flesh, but most of them are also online now. Attending planning committee meetings is a fantastic way to learn about planning. I still do it now myself. If I'm ever working on a scheme or starting to look at something, particularly in a local authority that I've never worked before, first thing I want to do is really get amongst that local authority, understand all of their planning policies, understanding how they interpret things, understanding the politics of that local authority. Yeah, so bit of super duper free advice, way to learn a whole load of stuff, whatever stage you're at, is start going to planning committee meetings. Yeah, and also another big part of that element of the training is actually understanding the land market, who's in it, how does it work, because it's not just about like for me, for example, I'm mainly a residential developer. That's the thing I know most about. That's the thing that I do most. I do a bit of mixed use here and there. Done a few offices over the years and stuff like that. But you need to understand the land market overall in general. So that's who's in it. Buyers, sellers, different uses, different users. Because once you know that, when you are looking at a site as either a developer or a land agent or whatever, what you really need to be thinking is, like say, I'm a residential developer mainly. I'm not thinking, how many houses can I get on that site? I'm thinking is, what's the best thing for that site, and what is it that's going to maximise the land value? Because I know that is the thing that ultimately gets the deal done and persuades landowners to sell. So whilst I'm mainly a residential developer, if I realise that some sort of commercial development or something else is going to be the best thing for that site, then that's what I'm going to consider. That's what I'm going to look at. Likewise, if you're a site finder or a land agent looking to find sites for other people, you need to be thinking, okay, who is it? What type of developer, what type of end user is it that's going to be able to generate maximum value for this site? Because that's obviously going to be the type of person that you need to introduce the site to, because that's the person that's most likely to get the deal done and pay you a fee. So name of the game for a site finder or a land agent is finding and backing winners. Yeah, because if you take an opportunity to someone that doesn't know how to turn that opportunity into a deal, then you're never going to get paid a fee. Next, you need to know how to actually identify sites. This, of course, is not an easy thing to explain other than visually, because there are lots of different sites, lots of, basically we need to be looking at maps and explaining stuff. So I've got a whole load of specific training just on the site finding process, where we're basically online hunting around, typically on Land Insight. We'll talk about search tools in a minute, looking in different places, finding sites, finding opportunities, analysing them, showing you how to look, where not to look, and all of the other ways of finding sites. It's way easier nowadays with all of the online search tools. 10 years ago, they never existed. 20 years ago, all you really had to do was really get on your bike and look at OS maps, yeah? So it's way easier than it's ever been, but you still need to know what you're looking for, how and where to look. The next section is about net research. So that's really about, well, okay, not so much how do you using the internet, and I say the internet, now it's really, it's site finding tools. I'm involved with Land Insight, Land Tech. That was the first real site finding software. Still the best in my opinion. Obviously I'm biased, but lots of people have come along and copied us since. So there's various online search tools you can use. Now, and you need to use them in two ways. One, you're online, searching around maps and getting information. You could just stay indoors all the time, finding sites, on your computer. That's a way. It's not the only way. Really, you need to have your eyes and ears open when you're out. Then, of course, that's when you come back and you jump on the computer and you have a look at the site and you dig out all of the various information and the details that you need in order to see, has it got potential, who owns it, and then go to the next stage. The next stage is D in the Finder acronym, and it's D for discuss potential. Now, basically, what that means, and again, so these are that's just a single little phrase, discuss potential, but actually, there's a lot in there. So what that is really about, well, what do you need to do next? So in order to create and find off-market opportunities, you spot stuff with potential, find stuff with potential. When you've found opportunities, you then need to make an approach to the landowner in a very specific way. So the start of the process, the one-day site finder training, is all of my direct approach letters, yeah? Now, there are slightly different letters for different situations. It's like most things with development, it's horses for courses. Clearly I'm not the only person that sends letters, right? I've sent hundreds of thousands, actually, I've worked it out, of letters over the years. I've actually had 20,000 landowner meetings. There was a time when I was doing this on an industrial scale. I was probably having 5-6 landowner meetings a day for 25 years. Once I realised finding off-market sites was the key, that's what I started doing on an industrial scale. A lot of my deals have been land assemblies. So basically, I've had a lot of meetings with landowners over the years. All of that information and feedback has basically fed into my direct approach letters. So that's why I'm pretty sure they will work better than pretty much anything else I've ever seen, for a couple of reasons. One, I've heard so many objections, so many comments. I've had so many meetings with landowners. Most of the time, I guarantee you, I know what they are thinking before they even say it, because I've pretty much seen and heard it all. So a lot of stuff that's in my letters, and remember, they are bespoke, so they're slightly different for different situations. As I say, one of the biggest mistakes people make is it's like what they do, one size fits all. They get a letter and then they just send the letter, right? In order to maximise your chances of a positive response that eventually converts into a deal, there's certain things that you need to say and do, and those certain things are subtly different. So my letters are designed and optimised to suit those different situations, and they are based on the feedback from thousands and thousands and thousands of meetings with landowners. Every time I got a deal done, and this is an important thing to know and remember, even when it comes to finding off-market sites, right? The more you know about planning and development, and the cleverer you are, the more angles and opportunities and ideas you will have to create a deal out of something that everyone else has missed. Yeah? So the better you get at this stuff, the more proper virgin, let's call them, deals you will find. But even with that skill and knowledge and experience, 80-90% of the stuff that you approach would already have been approached before. It's like someone else would have spotted it, someone else would have tried to get in there. Very often, It's just a timing thing that makes a landowner respond to you. Probably slightly more importantly, the nature of the approach. You've said and done the right things in the right way at the right time, because there is a timing element to this as well. Yeah. So for example, like I said, 20,000 landowner meetings. The majority of those landowners would have actually already been approached before by other developers or land agents, and very often they'll actually have a pile of letters that they've got from previous approaches. As a result, when I do end up doing deals with people, I've got mated with them, I've got friendly with them, I've done the deal, I've agreed the deal. At some point, I'll say, "Oh, do you know what? You don't need all those letters anymore, do you?" And they say, "No, we don't need them. Obviously we've done a deal with you now. It's all great." And I say, "I couldn't have them, could I?" So I've got hold and seen loads and loads. I mean, thousands of other developers' letters, right? Some of those letters have had really, really good bits in them. Wow, that's clever, actually. I like the way they've done that. I like what they've said. So basically, all of that massively useful knowledge and experience feeds into my decks. Absolutely maximise conversions. And I'll pretty much guarantee you ain't going to get ChatGPT to go and ever find, certainly not anytime soon, create direct approach letters that are going to have that level of knowledge and experience and feedback and testing in them. So no. So that's the point. So the discuss potential bit here is about how to make the exact direct approach that maximises your chances of a response. There's stuff in those letters that's designed to deal with comments and objections that I know are going to come up 2, 3, 4, 5 steps down the process when it comes to trying to negotiate and secure a deal. Discussing potential is about making the right approach with the right letters in the right way. And then also there is a very specific follow-up sequence if and when you don't get a response. So again, I've tried and tested, how long do you have to leave it before you make a second approach? Yeah. So one of the biggest mistakes that people make, they'll just send a letter, and if they don't get a response, they won't follow up. I know for a fact that the response on follow-up letters is much better, because most other people don't do them. But they've got to there's an optimum timing for these things. Send them too early, you look too desperate. Send them too late, the people have forgotten about you, and the whole thing sort of loses its impact. Everything I'm doing here, everything I'm telling you is based on years and years of testing and optimization. Proper approach letters, proper follow-up sequence, proper follow-up timing. Then, of course, when you actually get in front of a landowner, and that's the key thing really, as either a developer or a site finder, you're trying to get a meeting with a landowner when you then start fact-finding and relationship building. And ultimately, the better relationship you can build, the more likely you're able to turn it into a deal. That's the crux of it for a developer. Now, if you are someone looking to be a site finder or a land agent that's going to get a foot in the door, create warm leads, and then approach other developers to do the deal and pay you a big fee, there's a couple of other things you need to know. You need to then have to be able to find and establish relationships with the right potential end buyers. Yeah, so basically you've got to find the winners to back, and then know how to get a deal agreed with them. Because what you don't want to do, most people will know this. Proper the off-market deals are one-on-one, no competition. They're not things that people post in the public domain on Facebook or on LinkedIn, and they say, "Oh, well, I've got a site in so and so," and all this of it. That isn't really off-market. Off-market doesn't just mean that it's not on with an estate agent. It basically means it's one-on-one, no competition. That's proper off-market. If you're a land agent or a site finder, you need to find the sensible developers to work with, because they are the ones that are going to be most likely to be able to get the deal done and pay you a fee. As part of that, you need to know how to realise the introduction. That basically means how to get your position properly secure before you release any of the key information about the site, so that some dodgy developer doesn't go behind your back and try to nick the deal. That's something that happens a lot when you're dealing with tossers or people who are inexperienced and they don't know how to secure their position the right way. But anyway, those last two bits, establishing relationships with the right people and realising the introduction, i.e. protecting your position, are really important for site finders and land agents. If you're finding sites for yourself as a developer, you don't really need, you don't need to do that. But of course, you do need to know how that all works, because you want the good land agents and site finders to be coming to you. So you do need to know how the process works. So, but most important thing is understanding the planning system inside out and the land market, knowing exactly how and where to identify sites, and then making the right approach in the right way at the right time to landowners to get a foot in the door and create a warm lead. So that is stage 1 of the Insider Framework, which is all about identifying development opportunities and finding the best sites. And so that's basically what's in our site finding training. So I've just realised that even that, as a very, very quick overview, has taken a while. So I'm going to park it there. And what I think I will probably do, I'll probably do a separate episode for each of the remaining 6 stages. If you do go to Inside Property Development on the YouTube channel, if you're listening, you can at least see the whole framework. So it's got all of the headings and the subsections there, which before I get into the detail of explaining it to you, will at least get you thinking about, oh yeah, that makes sense. Or maybe I didn't think about that, I didn't understand that, I didn't realise that was a thing that I should focus on. And then you can start, doing a bit of research for yourself. So that's that. Hopefully that's been a little bit useful. And I'll see you on the next one. And remember, if you are on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in to Inside Property Development. Please remember to like and subscribe. Do join us every week, where we'll be speaking to house builders, developers, experts, planners, and everyone involved in trying to get more much needed housing created the right way. We'll learn together how we can collaborate rather than fight, and by working together, we can all help create better places, spaces and homes, and a much more beautiful world.